our next human on the show has been a part of the show a couple of times, but more importantly, he has been a part of the geothermal world for a really, really long time. He founded ThinkGeoEnergy already in 2008, and now it's one of the biggest geothermal platforms in the world, with thousands of readers every day, myself included. Since then, he has been a major spokesperson within the geothermal world, aligning and educating and discussing and spreading the word of geothermal globally. He has served as an AGI director since 2013, was its president from 2016 to 2020, and is currently director at large on the board of the Canadian Geothermal Energy Association. I'm really curious to hear about what he has to say about the past, present, and the future of news and knowledge and information spreading in the geothermal world. Alexander Richter, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
We're really, really happy that you took the time to spend a few minutes with us here on our last virtual seminar chapter. And I'm really curious. We talked a little bit about ThinkGeoEnergy when I introduced you. You founded it already in 2008, which is super early, I would say, from an internet perspective, but from a geothermal world perspective as well. For reference, I think Facebook went public in 2006. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. What was the background when you founded ThinkGeoEnergy? Did you have a specific gap in the industry that you wanted to fill at the time?
Well, when I entered the geothermal sector in 2006, I was working for a bank, and we did a lot of research on geothermal, figuring out where we can invest and basically doing market research. And what I found is that geothermal energy did not get a lot of attention in the media, particularly the energy media or even renewable media that was coming up at the time. It just simply wasn't recognized as one of the renewable energy options. And the news sources that existed in geothermal, they were either too technical or focused on geoscience topics only. And I thought that this was not helpful for the geothermal industry outside of the sector itself. So I thought we needed to promote what geothermal has to offer, what it can do in the energy world, to become essentially a part of the discussion on energy and renewable energy for the future. So I thought kind of geothermal should be represented in the form of project development, technical topics, geoscience topics, but also policy, investment, and so on. So I started collecting news and started basically a blog website, and that was ThinkGeoEnergy, and it kind of became that accidental news outlet that it is today. So an accidental entrepreneur, but also developer of this news website, and writing news every day and gaining more readers and essentially hitting a nerve in the sector. So that was a very important thing. But really, it was to a gap in the market of information that was not only targeted to us within the geothermal industry, but also outside, helping to promote what geothermal energy has to offer.
Accidental entrepreneur, I love that. So when you talk about the importance of news and information spreading, and that you saw that there didn't really exist that forum within the geothermal world, was there another energy or another sector in the industry that you saw had similar channels, like other renewable energy sectors, that you wanted to sort of mimic or walk in their footsteps?
Well, I think when we started in the renewable energy space professionally, I saw a lot of the wind and solar sector and the coverage on those sectors, and I saw the information about project development. I saw the information on opportunities and the scale of the industry. And that's where I kind of realized that kind of like information is key in the way we present both the opportunity and the understanding of geothermal and the role that it can play. So I looked for data in the geothermal sector of kind of development, existing capacity, etc. And the information was quite scattered, either geographically by country, but there was no kind of global look at geothermal to provide a bit more of a global picture of what geothermal has to offer and basically where it stands today. So that's when I started also collecting information in different databases and try to develop myself from the coverage that we did. So I realized a lot of the information that we shared in the form of articles was also presenting a lot of data. And then we thought, oh, well, let's connect this. And so it's basically with news you create data, with data you create news. So it was a circle that was developing out of that. And with that, we developed kind of a lot of interest in the geothermal sector and helped, I think, really also give geothermal a voice and the companies a voice and the industry essentially a platform to promote itself. And the data basically then also helped to indicate to the outside world that geothermal is a sensitive and a sensible thing to do. And that's where data is an important role. And there are quite a few examples that we looked at the time, and we saw a lot of the research organizations looking at geothermal, but there was no business to be had. So that's why a lot of these companies kind of didn't cover geothermal very well or didn't cover it at all. And we thought kind of there should be an option, even though there's no kind of business for us per se in that kind of research business. So we started developing all this work basically with limited funding and work and are now building our research business out of it. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I can definitely speak for the whole geothermal industry of the value that ThinkGeoEnergy has provided for so many years now. But if you look back on the past, say, 5 years and ThinkGeoEnergy aside, are there any other developments that you've seen or that you're proud that has happened? Perhaps people that have been interested by ThinkGeoEnergy's sort of initiative. For example, if we take virtual seminars, we've seen a boom in them as well for the past just years or so. Do you see any specific developments or trends that have occurred in the latest time or presently?
I mean, for geothermal, of course, there have been a lot of changes in geothermal. I mean, we see a lot of emphasis on technologies, helping geothermal overcome, let's say, a scaling issue, for example, of allowing bigger projects to be developed. We see that incredible growth and interest in heat of geothermal, of course, in the context of decarbonization, but I guess also to a large degree to the geopolitical situation. So that these are big changes. And at the same time, from a media perspective, we see over the years a lot of changes, the way media is consumed, the way we present things. But it all comes down to the point that as any industry, we need to talk about what we're doing. ThinkGeoEnergy provides a platform for companies to talk about what they're doing. We'll publish that, but we still don't do enough. And if we publish this to websites, social media, etc. So there's a lot of things going on. And going back to geothermal, clearly we see a big change. We see big companies coming in. We see these companies coming in with a different interest, with experience. And of course, they are applying a lot of the opportunities of what they've done and promoted their industry, for example, in the oil and gas sector. And we see a lot of positive things coming out of this. So video content, etc., has been developed, and that's a fantastic tool to promote. And for anyone in the industry, you need to stay on top of things and follow those trends and work with these trends to promote what you're doing as a company, but also for any media outlet. So that's quite important. So for us, for example, video content is becoming more and more important. And we're quite proud that we're working on some exciting things to launch very soon together with you. So we'll be very, very excited about that. So we'll see. There's a lot of things to come and a lot of things to happen in the geothermal industry. So it's a fantastic industry to be in at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I can only echo that. So you've spoken a lot about internal communication changes within the industry, but I still feel that Whenever I introduce myself as someone that's active within geothermal, first there's an explanation barrier what that is, and then there's another explaining that it actually is a renewable form of energy, causing surprise or confusion even to a lot of people. That's, renewable energy is not a new thing for most people, but geothermal is. Is there any change you could still see when it comes to the geothermal world, how we communicate externally, spreading the word globally? Because ThinkGeoEnergy, I would say, is used a lot within the industry itself, but perhaps a little bit less externally. Perhaps you have more insights within this.
The interesting part, and I think I mentioned this when I was talking about why I founded ThinkGeoEnergy, was really kind of to give the industry a platform to promote itself. So, and I believe we've managed to position geothermal into the global media world. So just by Google searches, having more content on geothermal has been tremendously helpful and has created a lot of readers outside of the geothermal world, either companies that have been interested in geothermal or kind of just were basically curious, and they see that there is a lively industry with things happening. So I think this was very important to promote. And on your point on geothermal as part of the renewable energy discussion, yes, this was a big challenge. If people think about renewable energy, they think about solar, they think about wind, biomass maybe to a degree, and that's about it. So talking about geothermal, ground source heat pumps is then often mentioned, and that's only one aspect. But I think we've come a long way in a sense of now geothermal being seen as one of the renewable energy technologies. We are receiving more interest. We are being taken more seriously. And particularly in the context of heat, kind of that is changing dramatically, particularly in Europe. So in the sense of how we promote geothermal is really kind of what we talk about. We talk about baseload capacity, we talk about the green credentials, etc. But I think what we need to position geothermal in the renewable energy space is talking about geothermal is the renewable energy technology beyond electricity. And this is the crucial aspect here, that we can provide energy beyond electricity. And with that, we have a much broader role to play in the energy transition, and a very attractive role, particularly in the countries that are currently decarbonizing their heating supply. And that's where geothermal will grow the most in the world. So that's very exciting. Do we need to do more? Absolutely. There's still a big mountain to climb, but I think we are on a good path, and I think that's thanks to a lot of companies and media and communication efforts, including yours.
I can only agree with you. There's a big mountain still left to be climbed, but I think we achieved a lot in the past years. So just a final question then. When it comes to the geothermal world, I think you and your team at ThinkGeo does an amazing work of spreading news and industry awareness and just aligning the industry together. Do you have any encouraging words or something you'd wish the rest of the industry could start with, or perhaps join in your initiative on creating these platforms or spreading the word? Is there something you hope for the remaining of the decade?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic team at ThinkGeoEnergy, a young and enthusiastic and passionate team. And I think this is fantastic and gives me so much more hope for what is to come in the industry. And there's so much passion coming in the industry. And we need to kind of channel that passion into opportunities for jobs, for opportunities, so these passionate people can grow in this industry and grow with the industry. And I think this is very important. But I'm very optimistic of things moving in the right direction. And for the remainder of the decade, we will see so much demand for geothermal on the heating side and development on the technologies. We need a lot of hands on deck, and we need to prepare for that. So for everyone involved, talk about geothermal, talk about what your companies are doing, be outspoken of what you do, what geothermal can offer. And I think we can come a long way, and we are already getting really a good traction and so on. So I'm very, very optimistic.
Thank you, Alex. So am I, and I can just echo with you. We definitely need a lot more people, and we also need to take care of the passionate souls that enter this fantastic industry. And like Christina has talked about earlier, yes, we're closing the chapter of the virtual seminar, but we're also opening the door to something even more exciting in the future. And ThinkGeoEnergy might actually have something to do with that, so stay tuned for exciting things in the future.